All right, it is now noon, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our webinar, Helping Farmers to Be Good Neighbors. My name is Leigh Bridgman, and I'm an Ag and Horticulture Program Assistant with the University of Maryland Extension in Queens County, and I will be facilitating the session. Throughout the presentation, we'll be using the chat pod for questions, so please use the arrow key to select everyone and type your question in, and the presenter will answer your question as soon as they're able. Before we begin, I would like to thank our sponsors and collaborators that were shown on the slide I had up earlier and remind you of the upcoming webinars. I put the link in the chat pod since it's a new Eventbrite sign up. On January 12th, we'll be talking about food safety, GAP versus FSMA. As a reminder, our presentation will be recorded today. An email will be sent directly to you with a link, the archived presentation, and any materials presented. Feel free to share this email with your colleagues. The complete collection of archived webinars can be found on our website. And now I would like to turn the presentation over to Jenny Rhodes and Dr. John Moyle to talk about being good neighbors.
Okay, let's see if we can get this to work now. Okay, was that advanced?
Hey, you know what? The delay actually worked out very well. Yes, it did, because that allowed more people to join. So see, we're doing this right.
All right, well, thank you for your patience. And today John and I are gonna talk about being good neighbors. And I work for the University of Maryland Extension, and I'm a county ag agent. And John?
I'm the state extension poultry specialist for the extension. And again, we're going to talk today about being good neighbors. And this is kind of geared towards poultry, but it works for any kind of farm, particularly those with animals.
So today we're going to cover topics. We're going to talk about appearance of your farm. We're going to talk about composting, vegetative environmental buffers, sometimes referred to as VEBs, controlling pests, talk a little bit about nutrient management, communications, community involvement, and then we'll wrap it up talking a little bit more about neighbor relations. So what do you think about when you see this picture? Makes you feel good? A nice, clean, neat farm. So when someone rolls into your farm or is coming up your lane, they should have a good feeling about the appearance of your farm. We just feel like this is a really good example of what you would see on a farm, certainly if you have livestock or crops, but nice green grass, you've got a nice driveway, around the buildings is maintained.
Well, and it's clean too. You can see that it's been mowed, it's maintained. There isn't manure anywhere. There's nothing to attract vermin or pests or flies or anything. So this is a really good example, as opposed to this one.
Yes. So let's clean up around your buildings. Take a walk around your farm. You're on your farm every day. You walk by things and sometimes you don't even notice. Maybe bring somebody else to your farm and let them walk around with you and say, hey, what do you notice? What do you think I need to do here? But this is, pretty simple.
And if you look at that, how long has that pallet been laying out there? I mean, look at the grass and the weeds growing up through it. And this is winter time, so it's not growing now. So that's been there for quite some time. So not only does it not look good, but it also harbors place for rodents and other insects that can cause us problems. So keeping it clean is actually in our benefit.
And you may have a pile around your farm for a month or so. If you've got a recycle pile of metal that you may want to take to the scrap yard, or wood, you might want to recycle. So certainly nothing wrong with that, but just keep it neat and clean. Controlling weeds. Weeds is only something that you don't like there, and I know a lot of people, like growth and vegetative growth, but again, like John said, it can be a harbor for rodents. So certainly there's ways to control this, control with chemicals or, using weed eaters, those type of things.
And it's really sad because this is a brand new farm and look how pretty that building would look. But when you drive by the road and see all the weeds growing up, it really distracts from it. And what we've learned over the years is people judge what, smell and everything else with their eyes. So when they see something that looks nice and is pleasantly pleasing, they tend to give it a lot, ignore a lot. Well, not ignore a lot, but they give it a thumbs up, where you can put one out there that's perfectly great, that looks bad, and they're going to all think it's the worst thing under the sun.
And if you don't want to use, chemicals to control weeds, certainly start when the weeds are small. When they get this big, it's really hard to control either way, mechanically or, through some type of herbicide. And then cleaning up around our farm. This is a picture of a heavy use area pad. Chickens have just gone out on this farm, and the farmer's there. He's got an attachment, a plate on the front of his loader. It's got a broom on it, so he can sweep up things and push them, into another bucket and dump it in the manure building or back in to the house, whatever works for that farmer. But look around your farm, keep it clean. If you've got manure spilled somewhere, clean it up.
And Jenny, you're right. This picture here, if we could back up, you would see they're actually loading birds out of the house next to him. He was on that right away because he wants his place to look good, and plus it makes it easier. If the trucks don't drive over it and all that, pack it down. By cleaning it up quickly, it makes the job much easier.
So it's all at work. Sometimes about working smarter and not harder. You can certainly go out there and brush this with a broom with a hand if you want some good exercise. But there are lots of attachments we can get to make our life easier and faster, really, because we have so much to do.
That's right. If you have a teenager that's in trouble, send them out there with a broom. That's always a good thing.
So again, appearance is just so important. People riding by your farm and looking up your lane, maintain your grounds. First impressions mean a lot. Keep your grass mowed. Put equipment away. I mean, why do you want your equipment to sit outside in the rain and in the elements when you can put it away and take care of it? Especially there's so many electronic things on all of the things that we use on our farm. So put them away. Pick up trash. Walk around your farm, pick up trash. I'm not sure where trash comes from sometimes, but even nails. Nails can fall off, and we don't want any holes in our tires. So pick that up, and then just debris anywhere. Look around for poultry farms. Feed spills. Clean those up. If they deliver feed and it's spilled, clean it up right away, because then you've got flies, and that's not good. Well, you don't want flies on your farm, and your neighbor doesn't want them either.
So the next thing I want to talk about is driveways, and I love this first picture. I mean, the guy had ruts in his driveway, so he filled them with poultry litter manure. I mean, how is that going to work? So now not only does he have a big mess still, but he has a biosecurity hazard. So I look at that picture, it just cracks me up every time.
And then you've got the other picture there on the right. So nice, driveway, got stones in it. And you're gonna have to invest money in your farm. I mean, and keeping a good driveway, roads around any of your building is really important. It takes care of all your vehicles, and then also people coming in, whether delivering feed or whatever they're bringing into you. So put that in your budget of things that you need to budget for. These are just some more pictures of, this is kind of before and after. So this was a heavy use area pad, just had a little apron outside of the building. And you can see, it is hard to manage and hard to scrape up all that when it's in the dirt and the stones and the grass. But then you can see now the picture on the right, they put in a heavy use area pad, and look how nice that looks. And then you can just go in there and clean that up.
Yeah, it does make it so much simpler and easier. You can see the difference because all this here, I mean, it's not very much, but it does look bad. But because he has the pad on the second one, he can push it in. And yes, that's the same farm, but not the same house. I just realized that. Like it's house 1 and 2 backward.
Oh, okay. You'll see when you go to a lot of poultry farms, there'll be a mailbox with a sign that says stop. This is a biosecurity area. We also have signs that we give out for, people put up on their farms, keep our chickens healthy. But if you go to a commercial farm, there will be a mailbox to stop, and you'll need to sign in. So they need to know everybody, that's coming in and out of the farm. But you can see there's a trash can there to put, if you put biosecurity clothing on when you come out, you come out, put it in the trash can. But just see how nice and neat that is. It's all maintained around. It looks really nice.
And Jenny, I want to point out on this farm too, if you look, this is an older farm. This is not a new farm. We've been showing pictures of some nice new farms, but even the older farms, if done right, do look well. And so it doesn't matter how old your farm is, it's important to take care of it.
And if you really look at this picture back by that first chicken houses, I think these are cinder blocks they put up there to keep people off of their grass.
Yes.
So
Yeah, they did. So the truck drivers don't drive out on their lawn. They keep them on the driveway so they don't cut across. And, you know, sometimes you have to do that.
right, and that does help to keep your place looking nice. There, you know, because if the trucks run in the grass and it's wet, you get ruts, and then you get water, then you get mosquitoes, and it's just a mess. So feel free to protect your grass and put things up that, you know, people are going to see and not run into your grass. A lot of people even have signs, you know, grass area, or they'll, you know, or even slow moving signs, you know, that say only 5 miles an hour, please.
And the grass also works too to slow rains down. It captures rain, prevents flooding and washing out. And two, if you've ever driven, the trucks do drive through your lawn, it makes it all rutted and it makes it harder to mow. So there's a couple reasons for it.
So again, just, you know, driveways, you know, make sure that in your budget, you've got stones or millings or whatever you get, you know, to maintain your driveways and your lanes in between any of your barns. Oh, we didn't talk about lights. Think about, you know, your neighbors. If you're close to a neighbor and you're driving down to the barn at night to check your animals, think about that you're not positioning lights so they could be into your, you know, bother your neighbors. Or if you have a dusk to dawn light, you know, think about your neighbors when you do that. Heavy use area pad, we, you know, talked about that. Just, you know, keeping those clean, keeping all those areas clean. Trash cans on your farm, whether you're a poultry farm, livestock farm, you know, that is a place for trash to go and not to blow all over your farm again. And then the mailboxes with the biosecurity sign in, and then a place to dispose of your biosecurity personal protective equipment.
And I'll say this too, keep a pin in your box for people to sign in on your farm. That's one of the biggest things. You go to a farm and no one has a pin.
Didn't think of it. And then also an extra supply of biosecurity. So just a suit, the little booties, a head net, gloves, you know, if you want, but that way it's there. So if somebody does forget to bring their biosecurity personal protective equipment, you've got it there. This is just another area. There's cost share money available now for composting areas. So you can put in a heavy use area, cement pad there where you're going to be doing your composting. So there's a picture of, there's a channel composter where you drive into, and then the older, I don't know, I'll call it the stall type composters.
Bin composters.
Thank you. Bin composters.
And I wish I would have took a before and after, because the one with the bin composters, that was really rutted up, and it was in the wintertime was really hard for them getting in and out. And now it's so much nicer. It was a good investment for them.
And then you see they've got the green grass, you know, all around it. So that certainly helps. You know, when it rains, certainly water is going to wash off that pad, but then you've got the grass there to take up any excess nutrients, and then keeps, you know, no erosion will happen there because of the grass. So on-farm collection units, this is another, so there's two ways of taking care of the mortality on poultry farms, with composting or using these mortality freezers.
And this is a good example of how the freezers can work. You know, they're clean, they're easily to access. The employees aren't going to have a hard time getting to and from them. But again, it's so important that things look nice, because people judge with their eyes. When people see things like this, they don't know what that is. It's no big deal. But if it was all dirty and feathers everywhere, it would be a different case.
And here's just another picture. A lot of us compost on our farms, so whether you're composting chickens or debris or whatever, scavengers love to get into compost piles and pull things out. So this is what a farmer made. It's just, you know, it's on a pulley there, can open it, you know, open it up and then compost, and then push this back down to keep all the scavengers out. And a scavenger could be your dog on your farm. It could be the neighbor's dog. It could be a lot of different things.
Right. And one of the easiest ways to find out what's going on your farm is to put a camera out there, a game camera that will show you so many things that you did not know were happening. And again, simply covering the composters. Once the birds learn they can't get in there and the scavengers will go elsewhere, but putting an initial cover on there if you have a problem is is an easy way to solve it.
So composting properly is certainly very important. If we compost properly, it'll take care of odor. Buzzards, we've talked about all the different, varmints. Buzzards can get in there. They can dig down into a pile a right good ways. It's amazing. You think you've got it composted good, you've got it capped, and you've got buzzards flowing around, and all of a sudden you see, there's chickens that have been decomposing that they pulled out. And then flies also, composting properly will help control flies. And then we talked about all the varmints, the dogs, cats, fox, raccoons, possums, the list goes on and on of, all the varmints that like to get in.
And one of the things we can do is if you do live in a populated area or people moved out next to you and you're having problems with this, freezers are a solution that may be something you could look for, because while they cost a little more to operate and maintain, the fact you're putting something in a sealed container and keeping it frozen, it produces less opportunity for flies and varmints to cause you issues.
Good point. Vegetative environmental buffers. One of our favorite things that we love to talk about. And this has been, gosh, I guess 15 years or so. We worked on this really on the shore. Between Soil Conservation, Natural Resource Conservation Service, and then the Delmarva Chicken Association have worked with growers and farmers to install vegetative buffers. And they do lots of things. They can be a screen so nobody can see your farm, or they can
capture dust. You can see how much dust is blown on these, and you have to use certain plants and varieties by the fans. This here's a miscanthus, this picture. This grass can withstand the wind constantly blowing on it, but the other thing it can withstand is the dust collects on it and then it gets washed off in the rain to the root system, which then recycles those nutrients. So when you look at plants, you need to find some that can handle that it's kind of a harsh environment because of the constant blowing fans and the dust.
And this is a picture of a miscanthus, a grass that will grow. It grows really tall, pretty fast, and then this time of the year, a lot of it will actually still be standing, but it'll naturally, you don't have the time to cut it down. It'll actually pretty much go down, and when you start cutting grass, you can kind of mulch it up a little bit, but it'll start growing again. And then besides miscanthus and then switchgrasses, we've also got others, so hollies, holly trees.
Evergreens.
Thank you. I couldn't think of that.
There's a lot of different, however, you have to watch. Some plants have different insect challenges. So if you have some plants may need more maintenance in order to keep them insect free than others. But again, you can see how much dust is being captured on these leaves. And again, that'll wash off with the rain. Those nutrients then wash down to the roots of the plant, which can then cycle them up and pull them into the plant itself.
And then just kind of a recap of the VEBs, the Vegetative Environmental Buffers. The Delmarva Chicken Association has a program, Soil Conservation, Natural Resource Conservation Service. Reach out to them if you're interested in putting that on your farm. And they cut down with noise. They'll help with all the planting, dust, ammonia, feathers. Widely used. Oh, we didn't talk a little bit about pollinator plots. We're seeing a lot of people put in pollinator plots on their farm.
It's true. We are seeing a lot of those going in between the houses and along the edges. And you mentioned too about cutting down on dust and stuff, but miscanthus and switchgrass also work really well by the fans to block back pressure. So if you have a lot of wind blowing on your fans, it reduces their efficiency. So by having a row of grasses outside there, a couple fan widths away from your fans, will actually keep the fans more functioning more properly. We've seen that on farms, like in the wintertime we have big storms, minimum vent fans can't even get enough momentum to blow the shutters open. However, if you have a buffer there that can actually allow them to operate better.
And then some counties do, if you're planning to build some type of new livestock building, they may have requirements to plant buffers prior to you building the building or prior to chick placement. So always check with planning and zoning if you're getting ready to build a new building to see what the requirements are for any type of buffers or tree plantings.
I was gonna say, I think almost all counties now are requiring some kind of a buffer now, but again, and it's in your best interest as it can help reduce issues with neighbors in the long run.
So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about pest control. This picture on the right, John took, where are we? In a poultry house. Anyway, as you can tell. So there is a definite fly problem there. And then the picture on the left, that's just an old feed spill that never got cleaned up. And then, of course, you know what happens in old feed spills, you get flies coming out of that. So just take time and clean these type of things up.
And if you look close at the feed spill, you can see they're not even mowing or taking care of the grasses. I mean, that was a farm that had a lot of issues, and that farmer's no longer in operation, put it that way. He didn't do a very good job and didn't want to change, and because of that, he couldn't. His outside work is indicative of his inside work, put it that way.
Yeah, so take time to do all these things. It's very important. Rodents. Oh, I just don't like mice at all. And when you see one, there's probably 50 more there. And I don't know if you can see the bottom picture there, right over that red pulley, there's a little mouse sticking. John took that picture. I don't know how he ever got that, but.
If I can get a picture of a mouse at a chicken house during the daytime, that means there's a lot of mice.
I know, yeah. So have a plan, figure out on your farm, where you strategically need to place, bait boxes and rotate. There's different chemical actions in different in all the different bait, and actually they're all now makes it pretty easier because they're red or green or orange, so they know, well, okay, if I use this color, next time let's use this one, because they actually do get used to the taste, believe it or not, and then they'll kind of shy away from it.
They can also build up resistance. So most of them will tell you, use the yellow one for so many months, then use the red one, then use the green one. They'll tell you, and it's been done scientifically to help prevent the buildup of resistance in the animals, but also to keep them interested in the bait as well.
And of course, we have to be careful as we put bait boxes out. As you can see, there's a picture of this one. It has a little lock on it, and it's pretty hard to get open, so you don't have to worry about kids getting into that. But just think about where you're gonna place those and put those around your farm, mostly close to where there could be a source of feed, or get baited up in the fall, because when farmers start harvesting, and then they tend to move out of the fields and move into our barns, wherever they can find shelter. So again, proper composting will help us with flies. There's lots of different things we can use to control flies: insecticides, there's zappers, trays, strips. You just have to think about, what works on your operation. Keeping things clean, that certainly helps with, varmints, flies, all those, and rodents. Let's see.
Going back to what you said earlier, you're going to have to assess each situation differently. People that live closer to residential areas are going to have to pay a lot more attention to flies than people that live more remotely. So you may have to adjust your fly control and your fly prevention based upon your location. So keep that in mind, that you don't want problems with your neighbors as well.
And there are some plants that you can use that help to repel flies. There's lemongrass and lemon thyme, rosemary, all kinds of different things. And even using some of these around your home will help to keep the flies from entering your house. So nutrient management, talk a little bit about in Maryland, if you have $2,500 in income or 8 animal units, which is 8,000 pounds of some type of livestock, you have to have a nutrient management plan. Very important for all farmers to do it. It's a prescription approach. I'll go to the next slide. So it's kind of a balance. So, you test your soil. You think about what you're going to plant. Might be a pasture, could be corn, wheat, soybeans, sorghum. And then the university comes up with recommendations of how much nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium that you would need to apply. And the same if you were going to use poultry litter or any other type of organic source, you'd have to have that tested to see how much nutrients it has to match up to your soil, to match to what you're going to grow. So in a nutrient management plan, this is just a list of all the things that you would need if you needed a plan. So now is the time to think about that. We've got crops are harvested, and so time now to go out and get some soil tests done on your farm. Contact your local extension office, and we can certainly write those plans for you. Hey, communication. I love this picture of just, farmers across the fence talking to you. It's funny how, your neighbor maybe has no idea of the things that go on your farm. I mean, they don't farm. Maybe they do farm, but maybe they have a different type of farming operation. So developing a good relationship with your neighbors and educating them about, the things that you do. You can refer them to a county ag agent like myself, or John's a poultry specialist. We're happy to always to talk to people, to explain to them, what are the things that are going on your farm at all times. And again, just properly handling manure and maintaining your farm appearance certainly does help to build good neighbor relations.
And be proactive. Talk to people. Let them know when some change. Oh, it's the next slide. I was just going.
There you go.
Yeah. You want to talk to people ahead of time. If you're going to have a problem coming up, let your neighbors know. If you're going to move your birds out, or if you're going to spread manure on a field. I laughed the other day when, well, I guess it was in the spring, when our neighbor was spreading manure on the field. I looked at, I was out because it was work from home. I was fixing to hang some laundry outside, and as soon as I saw him start spreading manure, well, I'm not going to hang laundry. But there was a couple of the houses next to me that hung their laundry out. Had he been a little more proactive and let people know what was going to happen, you wouldn't have had people upset because they hung all their laundry out, went to work, and came home and found it smelled like, somebody spread manure next door. So again,
it smells like money, right? That's why I tell people it smells like money.
I just looked at this one. I didn't have to wash it twice. I was smart enough to pull it in, but that was lucky. I was working from home that day. But again, simple little things like that. Or if you're going to move your birds out and there's going to be a lot of truck traffic coming in and out as the birds go, let your neighbors know. And be aware of what's going on with them, because some of those things are loud. There's trucks, and we don't want to cause issues. And in being proactive and talking to your neighbors, you'll get a lot more goodwill than if you just do it without saying a word.
All right, so attitude, our attitude really goes a long way now, at holiday times, and, wishing people happy holidays, or, sharing cookies, or whatever it is. And, if your neighbors do have concerns, look for solutions. What are the things that, you can work out together? Sometimes it's just, education. But I think just being friendly goes a long way.
It really does. And it goes really along with the next slide too, where we talk about being active in our community. Because if people know us, they're more likely to work with us. And as farmers, we can get a lot more goodwill. I remember when I moved into a new community, bought a farm, had a poultry farm, I joined the local fire department, volunteer fire department. It was the best move I ever made. Not only did I make a lot of good friends, had a lot of fun with some good people, but it also put us with them, and they saw that we were part of the community, and we saw us as a friend rather than as somebody that's there farming.
And also when you're active, in a community, maybe, you're sitting on a county board, or the Board of Education is always one I, talk about, oh, you're a farmer, what do you do? So, have a little elevator speech that you have that, you can tell people what you do, because they certainly don't understand. We don't probably understand what they do. But tell people, be proud of what you do, and tell people what you do.
I never liked the term elevator speech. Elevator music always puts me to sleep. So, an elevator speech should be something short, sweet, to the point, not boring.
That's true. Short, sweet, and to the point, and engaging.
Right.
So just we'll kind of sum up. We've got this slide and one more slide, but just, developing and improving your relationship with your neighbors is ongoing all the time. Invite them to, come to your farm, explain what you do. I think it's just really, really important. That goodwill really goes a long way, and like John said, when you're friendly to them, sometimes that's a little easier than, if you don't know your neighbors and they, come over ranting and raving. I don't think that'll happen, when you establish that good relationship.
And that's so important to have a good relationship with your neighbors, because you're going to have issues that happen on your farm. And there things, I mean, crap happens. Let's just be honest. Whether you're farming crops, whether you're doing animals, it doesn't matter. Things will go wrong at some point. And you're going to have to, let your neighbors know something bad. You want them to be able to work with you rather than be somebody that's going to fight you.
And you might have more in common with your neighbor than you know. I mean, a lot of people like sports, a lot of people, there's lots of different things. A lot of people like gardening. So maybe, that way, you can help each other. But in the end, being neighborly means being friendly to your neighbors, helping them maybe when they need help, and maybe they would come over and help you also. As one farmer said, it's the small things that matter when establishing and maintaining good relationships with your neighbor. And remember, I think key number one is appearance matters when someone sees your farm.
And people really do judge your farm based upon your appearance. I mean, we all judge that one farm with all the equipment laying out there, the broken fans, the pallets and all that. When you look at that picture, you think, what a crappy farmer. Well, to be honest with you, he was a fantastic grower. He was very, very good on the inside. He just didn't show that on the outside. So again, we want to let people know what we do and be proud of it. And being proud of it means we're going to take good care of it and show it off.
All right, John, do you have anything else?
No, there's our contact information and our website as well. If there's anything we can do to help, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
So I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, there we go, Lee.
Does anyone have any questions? I don't see anything in the chat so far for the Q&A. Check that too. Take this back. Doesn't look like we have any questions.
Okay.
Well, hopefully, if you do think of anything, you got the contact information, and let us know if you do have additional questions. Let me see if I can share this real quick, just so people can see what we got coming up. There we go. And certainly remember that you will get a copy of the recording, and feel free to share that with other people. So thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks everybody. Have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, thank you.